What do you do after a couple months of dating where texting starts to die down? This is exactly why I say stop with the incessant texting. A relationship has to progress over time. If you start at 100 where you are texting every single day, where do you think that's gonna go? And off the bat, that person is chasing a feeling. They don't know you and you don't know them. Because
this is really big facts, man. I think, especially in this generation that we live in now, we just seem to have lost the art of communication. And a lot of times, man, it's young people, it's middle-aged people, and it's also older people as well. A lot of times when we meet that new person and we want to dive head in right away. But a lot of times, like she just said, when you start off at 100, where do you think it's gonna go? It's just like somebody that comes out with a viral hit and they have to continue to make viral hit after viral hit. That's like the negative connotation of going viral, right? I know I'm off on a tangent, but we're gonna bring it back. But when you go viral, the expectation is that you gotta go viral every single time versus when you naturally build something up and you build it up and you build it up brick by brick. That's the best thing to do. So going back to the whole texting situation, when you start off by going at 100%, there's nowhere else to go but where? Down.
Here's what happens. You start to idealize that person. You start to put them on a pedestal. You start to think that they're this version of them that they're not because you have text messages. You've created a tone in your head. You've created who you want them to be. And by projecting that onto them, no matter what they do, they're never going to live up to it. But two, it will always
I always used to do this too, man. Like, especially in college and maybe right after college, I have one-itis. So I meet a woman and I'm texting her and in my mind, I'm like, man, this is my wife. I'm gonna have kids with her. We're gonna do this next week. Oh yeah, we're gonna go on vacations together. I'm already planning out our whole life. Guess what? I didn't even know her last name yet. I don't even know what city she from for real. So the whole point of this is why I speak to you guys about pace and pacing yourself, because I never paced myself. I would try to go 100%, you know what I'm saying? I'm going 1,000% right away. When you're dating, the mindset should be, let me see who this person is. Let me see if I can tolerate this person. Let me see if this person is a fit in my life. Do they get on my nerves? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going the same place? Do they have the same goals as me? Do I want this person to be my wife or my girlfriend or just the girl in my rotation? You gotta be asking yourself these questions, but if you go in head first, dive in 100%, you won't even be able to see that. You're not even in the vetting mode at that point. In that point, you're just trying to prove yourself. And that's the mode I was in, just trying to prove myself. That's it.
You constantly noticing when all those little nuances are off. Anytime they don't text, you're constantly aware. You're gonna start to trigger yourself even more. And on their end, they're chasing a feeling. If somebody wants to text you morning, noon, and night, they're not genuinely and authentically trying to get to know you.
I like what she just pointed out. She was talking about you notice every little nuance. They don't text back, maybe they texting you every 10, 15 minutes, but then that time they don't text you back in that time and they text you back 5 hours later, man, you done damn near had a heart attack. This is why it's a bad idea to go dive in head first with somebody you just met. When that stops and they pull back, you're gonna lose your mind. You're not gonna even know who you are no more. You know what I'm saying? And also too, it's unrealistic to behave this way because you're putting all these expectations onto somebody and you may not be verbalizing or articulating it to them, but your actions is coming off showing that you're trying to prove yourself, trying to make something happen. You're trying to force it. And the woman is thinking like, dude, you don't even know me.
Grow a relationship as it needs to be built in time. They are trying to expedite the process. And what usually happens when they're chasing a feeling is once that feeling is over, once they got to know you more, or they start to realize too, you're not the version of the person that they projected you to be, they bounce. More often than not, when it starts at 100 like that with the texting, this is typically how it ends. At some point along the way, it starts to dissipate. The one person starts to feel super anxious, the other person starts to pull away, and thus you have the anxious and avoidant trap living itself out. So what you do with that is you take it as a lesson. You look at this and say, I'm not doing this again. I don't want to put myself through this anticipatory anxiety and this constant up and down because it is not worth it for my own mental health. Start working on and the triggers and the anxiety and the things that cause you to want this constant communication. What is that saying about you?
I like what she's saying. She basically saying now that we have to be more self-critical of ourselves, because a lot of times this was me. I would fall into that same rat race of expecting the next person I met to fulfill all these unrealistic expectations. And all it really is, what it comes down to is you want that validation from them. And a lot of times what we got to understand is, not even a lot of times, what you got to understand is you have to validate yourself. Because if you don't feel worthy enough, why should this other person feel worthy enough to give you what you want? All they gonna do is treat you like SHIT. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened to me. You just get more and more disrespected because you're disrespecting yourself. And then usually, and I'm not gonna say this is all the time, so don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't try to make it seem like this, but most of the times with women, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. So once you start getting disrespected by a woman, it's usually going to get worse. It doesn't get better. And a lot of times men, they put themselves in a ringer and thinking that it's gonna get better when in actual reality, it doesn't. Because you can come over here and listen to my content, but if you've been getting disrespected by a woman, it don't matter how much you change, she's still not gonna look at you the same. Still not gonna look at you differently is what I mean. Because this happened to me. I remember when I first got onto self-help back in 2013, and I tried to change with a woman that had friends on me already, but she still looked at me the same. Because with women, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. So when it's already going bad, it's gonna keep getting worse. You're gonna keep getting disrespected because you're disrespecting yourself.
This isn't just, oh, well, this is how you get to know somebody. Guess what? People didn't have a cell phone for years and still were able to get to know each other. You get to know somebody by spending time with them, even if it's long distance. Granted, long distance, you do need more communication throughout the day, but that doesn't mitigate the fact that you still need to spend time together and you can't build an entire relationship via text message. So don't try to save this. Don't try to get somebody to come back to you. Don't try to pull them back in. That's it. Look at this as, this is no longer how I want to operate. This doesn't work for me. And every time I get into it, I end up getting hurt. So I'm going to take this as a lesson and fucking move on and focus on healing and yourself.
If y'all feel like y'all need more help when it comes to the beginning stages of texting, definitely tap in with my Patreon. I have a tier where you get free consultations when you want them, along with video responses to your questions, along with exclusive content. So if you feel like you need more help on that, definitely tap in with my Patreon. Link is in the description. But yeah, everything she's speaking is facts, man, because that is what I struggled with for years. When I meet somebody new, I ain't know how to act because I wanted to spend all my time with them and I was chasing that feeling. But a lot of times, really what I was chasing was that validation to make myself feel good. This is why, going back to the video I posted yesterday, this is why you need to have a full life. You need to have hobbies. You need to be working on yourself, because the more and more you learn to love yourself and operate alone, then you're gonna be able to handle a relationship. If you're acting this way, you're not emotionally ready to be in a relationship. But again, I can't. The thing is, I wish I can go super deep with y'all on this, but it would take me hours and hours. But like I said, if you need more help with this, definitely tap into the Patreon, because I done been through this, I done been through the ringer, and now I know how to operate. So if we talking face to face, one-on-one, I will be able to help you with these issues. But my whole point, guys, is don't get caught up in the texts. Learn to take your time, pace yourself, and see if that woman is the best fit for you, instead of you trying to prove yourself to show that you the best fit. Because remember, people are gonna treat you how you treat yourself. All right, guys, that's my video for today, man. I appreciate you guys for coming over to the channel. As always, guys, make sure you continue to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'm gone.